Bobby Dupre Show. This is Bobby Dupre and my sidekick, Andrew.
Good morning.
We could also say welcome to the Sunday afternoon show at 3 p.m.
Could well be.
And this first edition is at 7 a.m. and we certainly want to welcome all of you to both. We have a number of people that watch both segments. And I can tell you, they can almost recite the program.
And we got other friends that watch the 3 a.m. segment. Basically, anytime you decide you get on the internet after the show airs on Thursday morning, you can get online, go to kdcg.com. You'll click on the links that go straight to YouTube, so you can watch it on your iPhone, your iPad, your Android, whatever you got. Watch the show anytime you want, in the middle of the night. You can watch Bobby Dupre and Andrew at 3 in the morning. We never look so good at 3 in the morning. When you and I were out running around at 3 in the morning, it was after a long day's work. Usually.
Yes, sir, that's correct. We, of course, get on the serious side. We try to bring you nothing but good news. We've been doing this on television now. This is probably about the 14th year. I'll have to go back and check it, but I was on radio for 36 years, and then, of course, that went away when KSLO went to Spanish. And like I like to joke each time I mention this fact, Rosetta Stone has not sent me my new study course yet. And so we off KSLO, maybe temporarily, who knows. And maybe the Delta Media people will put it back into English and a little bit of French. Comment ça va ce matin? Je veux dire, tous mes amis, j'ai met à l'église dimanche à Natchez. Comment ça va ce matin? Va demander pour avoir un bon, safe trip.
There you go.
There you go.
Journey.
I speak better than that when I'm up with a person.
When you're under pressure.
Under a little pressure. Here is not enough pressure, but we'll show you some pictures of some friends that I made after Mass over in Natchez at the Holy Family Catholic Church there.
Well, how about after Mass? You talk about every Friday, you know, it's Lent time, and I went to the Stations of the Cross over at St. Landry Church at 5:15. Every Friday during Lent they have it. And they have a little soup afterwards at Valentin Hall. And I ran into Kenny Morrow and his wife, and they made a little seafood gumbo. You know, it's supposed to be just a light soup, but a little light seafood gumbo was
c'est pas mauvais.
Award-winning is what Kenny says.
Go.
And I told him, I said, if I had an award on me, I'd give it to you. So, good morning, Kenny.
And of course, we have a number of things, but one thing I want to mention is the death of a friend that you kind of feel bad. You were so close at one time, and then various business transactions take place, and we go in different directions, and we get a little older, and I'm speaking of Harold Hidalgo, age 74, a couple of years younger than me, and a friend that I've got a good story to tell. He was a brother of Gerald Hidalgo, who I was very close to, and Harold and I I forgot about that. I was thinking back of different things we had done together, and we had two laundromats where the fish market is on West Landry. We had a laundromat there, and then we had a laundromat on the corner of Jefferson and Railroad Avenue that had a little movable building we had brought there.
Jefferson and Railroad, okay, I know what we're talking about there.
You know what we're talking about there. And anyhow, so we go way back, but we go back even further than that. One day, one of my good customers was involved in an accident with a motorcycle. And the motorcycle driver was Horace LaFleur Jr. And I knew his father real well, Mr. Horace. And so I went and asked Mr. Horace if everything was okay. He said, sure, son's not hurt or anything like that. In fact, he says, if I can just get whatever that motorcycle is worth, I'm out of that. I don't want him to have another motorcycle. I'm going to buy him a car. So I got to thinking about that sometimes later. Well, first of all, I called Calvin Folks, the adjuster handling the claim, and he went and settled it out with Mr. Horace, and the motorcycle was brought over to St. Landry Supply, which was then the Honda dealer in Opelousas, which was part of the Baudelaire Ford, all in that same building. So we going back a few years there.
And we're sharp today with it, too.
And
Every detail.
And so one day I'm thinking, maybe they would sell that motorcycle. I'll go look at it. So Harold and I went to look at it. It was kind of bent in the back. The frame had kind of been out of shape. But other than that, it needed a new battery. The battery had fallen out.
It wasn't like you had 4 tires, wear the tires up, and 2 tires.
Yeah,
little bend
no,
onto it, it wasn't gonna be
the bike was in good
problem.
shape. It
Right.
was about a 350cc Honda. It was not a dirt bike, but
Couldn't get in too much trouble with a 350.
So I called Calvin Folks, the adjuster, and asked him how much they wanted for the salvage. And he said, well, let me call them. And he called me back. He says, they want $25 for it. I said, well, good. I'll go drop you a check. So I went over, gave him a check, got with Harold. We went over during the noon hour one day, picked up the little motorcycle, put it in the back of his pickup truck, went to his house, and he had a stable, a barn area, and had 2 creosote posts for the gate. The gate was hanging on that. Well, we put that, Harold was good at all kind of things like that. We put the motorcycle between the 2, and he straightened that back in, and the wheels would lined up real good.
Okay.
So we felt good. So Adelaide was attending LSU summer school. I guess she was working on her master's. And I asked her to go by. I had called G.N. Gonzalez, the Honda dealer in Baton Rouge. So when she got through with her classes, she stopped by, picked up a 1295 battery, brought it back. We put
half the value of the motorcycle, just in battery, right down what I said, was that Scenic? I don't know, I forget what the road was.
And from that bike, literally all of our friends ended up with motorcycle, and we
so you
really
got together.
That's correct, and really got into dirt riding, real serious. Then we started getting into the road riding, highway riding, and well, you know the rest of the story. I've got 3 of them now.
I talked with Deacon Sammy Deasy this past week. He talked about you and Ashley and Nick, and that he rode he had I guess a Harley, but it was more of one of those cushy Harleys that he had. He didn't have the fancy Honda like everybody else. We talked about y'all riding and all, and about how you see y'all go on your trips and him going on his trips. And
anyhow, so you can see that Harold was close, and then when we visited it, I go back and I make that statement that I make more now. I realize that true friends, within 15 to 20 minutes, you're back to your last trip.
Right.
It could have been 5 years, but you're right back
on
there.
the same subject.
And anyhow, Harold was one of those kind. I went kind of late last night. I either like to go towards the end of the wake or early on the day of the funeral. But a lot of times on the day of the funeral, unfortunately, not all the members are there. But when I went last night, I went at about 7:45, and the wake was till 9 o'clock. And I got to visit with friends when I walked in. His brother Ray and Peggy were there, and a whole bunch of others. Uncle Bruce Jennings was there. Miss Lalonde was there. And J.Y. Reed. And I mean, I don't want to get into all of them because, you know, but anyhow, I felt at home immediately. It was all friends. And then I went and talked with Deanna, and just we reminisced, you know, about the good camping trips. Forgot to tell you that. I had bought a camper, a 5th-wheel camper, and Ramp and I had gone and picked it up and brought it to Opelousas, and I had a vehicle that you could pull it. And so I hooked it on and went to Sheep Cove State Park. And I tried backing it in there, and I just, and finally Harold was across the road watching all this with his arms crossed like this. Finally he walks over, he says, need a little help? I said, here's the keys. I had pulled the keys out of the ignition because I knew he was coming. You know, gave him the keys, he backed it up. That was on a weekend. On the Monday, I sold it to Ebert, Benoit, and Rose.
Enough of that.
If you can't back it,
Well, yeah,
you better get rid of
give
it.
it
So
up.
anyhow, lots of good times, and my deepest sympathies. And she's got a good little family. She's very fortunate. The boys were all there. They married and grandchildren, and you know, you watch all the history of the grandchildren.
What I
like
remember,
Kevin, I remember Kevin when he was born. We probably went to the hospital, you know, and everything else.
well, what I remember him with was as a young boy, just getting my driver's license. Every time I'd pass in front of Hidalgo Motors, I'd look at those little sports cars and I'd tell Daddy, boy, I sure like that convertible. Boy, I sure like that little, you know, I had the Envie all the time. You know, he was very glad when he got out of the dealership and they moved the dealership, so I wouldn't keep bugging him.
And we taping on Wednesday morning, so I'm gonna try to, when we get through taping, if it's early enough, I'll either
get you to the
go to the
funeral.
end of the mass, or I'll go to the burial site. But anyhow, my deepest of sympathies to the Hidalgo family.
Well, I got to hit a couple of sponsors. Let's start with Steamboat Warehouse. Get mom away from the smell of her own cooking. Go down to Washington, Louisiana. It's a beautiful Steamboat Warehouse. Try out all the great seafood, all the great steaks, the wine selection. The ambiance is incredible. You can have an adult libation out on the wharf there at the Steamboat Warehouse. And we'll also talk about Targale Seasoning and Supply.
We do, but we first want to talk about the man who has made all of this possible in that family. And I'm speaking of Mr. A.C. Bellord.
Right.
50 years ago yesterday, April Fool's Day, April 1st, 50 years ago, he founded Bellord Poultry.
Are you kidding me?
50
Wow.
years. And I'm sure that there were probably 2 to 5 people working there.
Right.
Probably he and Jane, his first wife.
2 or 3 guys knew how to
who's
clean the
deceased
chicken
now.
and let's go.
That's correct. And then later on had gotten into the peeling and packing of crawfish and had a whole big, large number of people working. And then that has gotten away locally. There's a few left packers, but not very many. Due to, I guess, different laws and everything, and then the Chinese crawfish came in.
And labor cheaper overseas and all that.
All of that. But can you imagine, but out of that Bellord's Poultry, which Tim Bellord now is the active member of the family there, then the 2 daughters, Mr. A.C.'s 2 daughters, Arlene and Connie, they own
Each have a Mama's Fried Chicken franchise. I guess
and then,
call it franchise.
And then you mentioned Targale, that's Ted.
That's Ted.
Ted is that. And all of it, I understand, is kind of still all family. I don't want to get into all of it, but I know at one time it was, and it probably still is, because
everybody participates.
Yeah, everybody
helping each other.
participates, helping each other. Well, look at the
fried chicken
girls.
place can buy the chickens. The seasoning man can provide the seasoning. Everybody got
a little hand
in.
Yeah, that's right. They're just stirring up that.
And while we're talking about Targale, stirring up that seasoning, they can come up with any kind of seasoning blend you want. If you like the flavor of Mama's chicken and that kind of seasoning, they can put that together for you.
Mr. A.C., I tell you what, you have really started a little dynasty there.
That's right.
And you can be extremely, extremely proud of your family members and all the employees, your brothers and everybody that has made all of this possible for this growth and success. And the service is still their #1 goal in every transaction that takes place. They want the service that you will come back to get some more of it.
I walk in.
They don't charge you for the good service.
I say, I'm cooking this much gumbo for this many people. They say, it's just men? Okay, this is how much you need. We got all, and bang. I mean, you don't have to be a cook to know how to put it together when they finish. But we have to take a commercial break. Go by Target for all your seasoning, butcher, and cutlery supplies, whether you're a restaurant, outdoor kitchen, or a caterer. They can help you out there at Target. And this is it. We'll take a 1-minute break.
Welcome back to the second quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show. We do it in 4 quarters, and of course, first quarter went fast. And you know what? Those 15 minutes, less a minute for advertisers, sponsors, it goes by just a little too fast. But let's get right into it.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me a couple of good sponsors,
Oh, I
please,
sure can.
sir?
Every one of them is fantastic. We'll start with Carl's Thrifty Way, all your medicinal needs. Go see Mr. Carl If you're trying to get your prescriptions filled, over-the-counter medication, if you've got multiple prescriptions, they can compound them into one easy-to-take prescription, one liquid, one pill, one powder. They can fix you up with all that. All your home decorating ideas, it's springtime. I know you're buying graduation gifts, first communion gifts, confirmation. I got one confirming at home, the baby. So you got to get all those nice gifts to give and home decorating ideas. You know, Easter time's coming. You're going to start decorating the house after Lent's over and freshen it all up and do all these parties. Go by Carl's. They can help you out. And one more, let's go with LHC Group, Louisiana Healthcare Group.
Just
all
purchased
about
some
helping
more,
people. Absolutely. They are growing.
27 states now.
Got to visit with you and I visit with Keith and Ginger a bunch lately. As much as we see them already so active in the community.
And I'll be seeing them real soon, April the 9th. Evangeline Downs racetrack and casino wide open.
Because they support the horsing industry by having some horses.
You bet, you bet.
But if you need therapists, you need not trainers, but that's at the track. Therapists, you need the special lift chairs, the special oxygen equipment. They can get all that for you, Louisiana Healthcare Group. They also got hospice care, palliative care. They've got the Health and Wellness Center on Heather Drive with the brand new tennis courts and all the different things you can do if you want to work out.
Swimming
it's the place to go. Swimming and everything.
Tennis,
we were talking to when Monsignor Derwent the other night was telling us that he goes swimming every day, I think is what he said.
I think that's
when he lived in Lafayette, he swam at Red Laurel's, but now he swims there. So go by Louisiana Healthcare Group, all about helping people.
Talking about Evangeline Downs opening up April 9th, we certainly want to wish them a successful year. We're getting some bad vibes on the fairgrounds and the upkeep and maintenance that they've, so says, not provided to the turf course, which is a big factor in their racing program there.
You got dirt and turf.
And turf, and of course Evangeline does too, but our turf is going to be okay. And Louisiana Downs over in the Shreveport-Bossier area, they having some problems there, and a gentleman has offered some bad legislation in our estimation of discontinuing quarter horse racing completely, and then bringing the racing season down to only 30 days rather than the 80 days that they carry help the horsemen out. So
and that's not a positive for the horse industry.
Well, he's trying to use some other tracks to compare it with, and it doesn't work out.
Compare.
So anyhow, the lobbyists and all of us are working to make sure that hopefully that doesn't pass. But a question that I've been getting is, as I mentioned last week, the ballots were in. I announced all the winners on the owner side, on the trainer side, and on the president's race, they had 3 candidates and they're having a runoff. No one got a 50+1 vote. And the 2 gentlemen that's in the runoff, and they are Bernard Chatters and Sam Bro. And the ballots I called this morning, and I talked to Mr. Ed Fanasi, and the ballots are going to be mailed April the 8th. That's in a few days. You're watching the program on the 3rd, so 5 days from now, you should be getting it a day or so after that. April the 8th, they're mailed, and they have to be received back in the office in New Orleans at the post office box that you're going to be presented, given an envelope, all pre-addressed and everything, and that's got to be back April the 28th. So that's 20 days for all of this to happen. And so please, when you get it, don't put it off. Vote what you know about the 2 candidates. They each sent out a bio on the 1st. I think this time it's just going to be I didn't ask Ed that. Someone had mentioned
You've
that.
already got the information.
You've already got the information. Reevaluate who you want to go with, and please make your choice. And I'll remind you once or twice more on that particular issue.
How about this?
And by the way, those new members and those of us that got re-elected to the board, we're going to be sworn in today, Thursday, the 3rd, at 11 o'clock meeting being held in New Orleans at the office of HBPA on Gentilly Boulevard.
There you go. We've got this coming up Tuesday, April the 8th, over at the Louisiana Cajun Dome here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Is going to be the WWE SmackDown. Now, we know we talk about boxing and all that, but we're talking about entering the squared circle. of WWE, and I'd like to try to, I know sometimes they get somebody out of the crowd, you or I, maybe we could be a tag team, go in there and try to see what we could do. But they're giving SmackDown tickets away, at least 10 pairs of tickets is what I understand. If you want to win some tickets, Smack is what you need to send.
I'll tell you what, if you wait too long, you can't buy any. That's usually a sellout.
64636, that's right, 64636. Send the word Smack. And years ago, I brought the two oldest boys to an event, and the way they did it, they filmed maybe 2 or 3 shows that night because the crowd was so into it. As they were going, they could see, and they said, we're going to try to, if y'all will stay, we'll do one more I mean, it must have been from 7 o'clock till after midnight. So when you go, don't think it's just going to be a little short show. If they see the crowd is going to go, they bring them out.
They should have a big show because the biggest event that takes place every year is WrestleMania. And WrestleMania is taking place this weekend in New Orleans. I mean, it brings in as many people around the world as the Super Bowl games do. So you're talking about a packed house over in New Orleans for WrestleMania. I mean, they coming in from around the world. Those tickets were sucked up in a matter of a couple of hours when they hit the market.
Huh?
But
it's entertainment. I mean, if you're going to go see football or anything else, it's all entertainment. Now, you might argue that, well, there's a little more scripted. But you know what? Do we not go to be entertained?
Dolph
that's
and
what
his
we
wife
do,
and
right?
his little son, they'll be at this SmackDown.
When I was a little boy, we'd go to that place. Daddy would bring us off of, University. Near the railroad track, they had the little building there. You had
the red brick building.
Yeah, and who's our friend that lived in Krotz Springs? Jack Curtis lived around the Krotz Springs area at one time, and of course Bill Watts, Cowboy Bill Watts, and all those guys Reeser Bowden and all those guys.
One day, Kelly comes from upstairs in the house on Liberty Street, came downstairs, and she starts talking about the wrestling. And she was watching wrestling.
Upstairs.
We had no idea she knew every wrestler that was wrestling in this area and in the South.
And every one of them had a show. When you watch, one of them it was part American Indian. One was a black guy from Chicago. One was a white guy from Russia. And they had one from Iran. I mean, they had, they all might have been from Plaisance-Pacoya, Alexandria, and all that. But the show was the fact that it was a diverse group of guys.
It was a show.
Oh, yeah, made a good show. Anyway, let's get back to the topic, I guess.
And then a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the importance, and we talked about it, I think, last week, the importance of wearing your seat belts.
Yes,
when
sir.
you get into your vehicle, before you even turn the ignition on, hook your, or else you might overlook it.
Absolutely.
A young boy, age 18, from the Grand Prairie area, got into an accident, and his pickup truck flipped, and he had 2 passengers. None of them had seat belts on. He got killed, I think, at the scene, pronounced dead, maybe at the scene, and his 2 friends, they had minor injuries. They were fortunate, but can you imagine if he'd have had that seat belt? It's very possible he'd have been just like the other 2.
Maybe walked away.
Walked away. So again, please try to get in the habit of doing it. It took me a while, but I hook them up now.
Well, you and I in the automobile insurance industry, like we have been, when you walk through that claim section, I mean, 9 times out of 10, when you read about death happening, there's no seatbelt. 9 times out of 10. I mean, the numbers are crazy.
Yep.
That you got to put them on.
And another thing that the sheriff writes this little article, and
gives advice.
I read his advice, and of course, that was one of the articles. The last article that's in the paper this past, I guess, whatever day they published it, Sunday, we'll say, was reference to when you presented a ticket by an officer of the law, whether it's a town, parish, or state police, sign the ticket. Don't say you won't sign it, because if you say you won't sign it, then they have to bring you in to the parish and book you for the charge.
Right.
If you sign, you're not admitting fault. You're only admitting
that he handed
you the ticket. That's all. So just keep that in mind, please.
Yeah.
Don't give the officer any problem. And well, I don't want to sign that, and I
If you're
shouldn't
gonna
have
fight
gotten the
it,
ticket.
if you're going to
and-
fight it in court, you can fight it in court with the signature. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry.
It's not going to.
In fact, that's written on the ticket,
Absolutely.
right up below where they ask you to sign, where they put the cross to sign.
How about this? The Silver Slipper, and I think he's still calling it the Silver Slipper, but just went through this huge renovation. He talks about come see the new restaurant. It's a full-blown restaurant, not just the old bar and dance hall that we all know about from years gone by. Right there out in the Paconya area, they're going to have a big event. Is their 10th annual brisket cook-off on Saturday, May the 3rd. Proceeds are going to go to help St. Jude's Children Research Hospital. They're going to have dunking booths, chicken drop game, horseshoe tournament. There's going to be music. I think One Trick Pony with Matt LeBlanc. His band is going to be out there. But you can go out and you can sponsor it. $100, put your logo on things. $50 if you want to cook in a big area. $100 if you want to cook in a bigger area. $5 I think to get in. Go by. It's going to be a great thing. That's May the 3rd. They're going to start cooking at 9. The bands are going to start at noon. If you want to contact somebody, call Janet at 879-7050. And of course, it's our friend Paige Melanson. That's the ramrod behind the whole project.
The owner, and
That's
he's
correct.
the owner.
That's correct.
Another death was Wilbert Marks, and you ask for Wilbert Marks, you probably won't get too much of a reply. They don't know him. But if you ask for T. Marks,
right.
then T. Marks, then you'll probably get a yeah, I know him well. Anyhow, age 70, he's another one that died, was buried yesterday, if I understand right, and just a friendly, that smile you see in this picture here, that's what you saw when you saw him. And of course, Miss Joyce LaGrange is another person who died, and we know her daughter very well.
We know Karen, and we also know, of course, her granddaughter, Allison Higginbottom, who is one of our kids that has used the Cerebral Palsy Clinic for years and years.
Since I've been Santa Claus over 30 years, she's been there practically all, if not all of those years. And what's the other young boy? When he comes now, he comes all dressed up in a suit. CUNY,
that's right. I'm going to remember the first name.
They live right in the back of John S. Dowling, CPA firm on the I-49 on the East Service Road.
You got it. Good morning.
Anyhow, Ms. LaGrange was age 79, a well-known person in our area. Our deepest sympathies to her family.
Yeah, we got one other big fundraiser coming up. I got a note from Miss Kathy Richard, the mayor over in Orneville, Louisiana. They're having the Etouffee Festival, the town of Orneville, throwing the whole thing. My understanding is I think the proceeds go to help St. John Francis Regis Church over there. Any type of etouffee can be cooked. It's Saturday, April the 26th. So if you need more info, just call, I guess, the City Hall at 754-5911 and tell our good friend, Father Keenan Brown, good morning.
Okay, what about LSU's O'Brien? We have 34
Johnny
seconds
O'Brien
left.
is heading pro. He was out of Mississippi, a highly recruited guy. He's ending his junior year and he's heading out. Nice big man.
They should talk about him. He must have been the team this year.
He was a lot of it. He really, really was. I don't think he ever reached his full potential, but the NBA, you know, they're going to squeeze it out of him. They'll have money invested, so they're going to try to pull it out of him. I think he could have a little heavier work ethic in the pros. It would help him. A little harder work, but he's good. Excellent.
Well,
we're going to take a 1-minute break, and we're going to see you folks on the other side of 1 minute.
Welcome back to the third quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show, along with my sidekick, Andrew.
Good morning.
And we want to get right into a couple of our good sponsors.
Oh, let's go to JB.
And they're all good sponsors.
JB Sandal's back with us. You know, everybody said they wouldn't last. Only made it 135 plus years. You know, they're still rolling. Matter of fact, I guess, cool, it would actually be 137, 138. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, it's a bunch. There they are. If you want to go by right now, you know, it's springtime. And this is the time that I go in and out there constantly. I'm always picking up things from hoes and shovels and brooms, sloggers. You know, you're not talking about what's a slogger. They've got a big selection of sloggers. That's instead of the full rubber boot. You know, the little rubberized shoe you just slip your feet in, nice and easy, but it's covered enough. It don't have the holes in it. They got the other brand. They got the holes. They got sloggers.
Now, who you think came up
I
with
don't know where that name
name
comes from. You just slog them on and slog around. And they got the ones with flowers for your wife, and you just want the black ones or the brown ones. You can go with it. That way, you know, when you go get your newspaper in the morning, you don't have to get wet. Or if you walk the dog, like me and my dog, we have to walk in the morning. It gives me my exercise. So anyway, go by J.B. Sandals. All those great things. Don't forget about houseware and gifts as well for marriages.
Well, what about the picture of my pictures that I went to J.B. Sandals?
You did go to J.B. Sandals. Here I'm talking my head off about it, and I have a picture to show. How about come ça? This is inside J.B. Sandals.
That's correct.
And right there you can see the old buggy that's there. No one bought the buggy yet. I guess, you know.
It's display item.
It must be.
Display item.
But they've got all that in the barbecue pits. You can see houseware. You can see hardware. All going on. I see, look at the barbecue pits and the rockers, old-fashioned wooden rockers, mason jars. There's all the different gas grills they've got there as well. But you and I like that old smoky barbecue pit. And they got.
I wanted to look at an old smoky and choose a size for my personal use.
And they got big ones.
This young lady is giving me some demonstrations and about the
what size?
Barbecue size, how many chickens I can put on.
And when I was a young man just coming up in college, what you could do is you could choke your fire. So I could light a fire. I could make a little bit of a barbecue. And you choke that fire, you could keep the coals, hit it again,
and still good
and
for
still
another
go.
turn.
You know, when you're a tight college kid trying to make ends
yeah.
meet, that's nice. And maybe just you and the wife at home just want to grill a little bit and use that again another time.
I've given that as a gift, and I brought it. Remember, I said it was for my personal use.
Right.
This is on my back patio
in
Natchez, Mississippi, on B Street. And that's just two pieces of. I wanted to show that I had barbecue, but we had eaten the rest of that.
Where's the ribeyes? Yeah, the ribeyes must already be gone, huh?
And then
you want to show another hardware store?
Well, and then I want to show. Then you look at the pretty flowers that planted in pots. I'm convinced that that's the way to go if you can do some planting of flowers in pots. You can move them around. It's easier
for you to weed them when you weed them.
When you weed them and everything.
And you fertilize them. I need to watch when you do all that. We got to get some video of that.
Anyhow, they work Old Smoky.
All right.
J.B. Sandals. Then
how about our friend? They're friendly. I'll just call them competitors. All the way in Palmetto, we got Budden's Hardware Store.
Hardware store. I stopped there to get a bottle of water. I was on the way to Natchez.
And I mean, look the pots, look the tools, look the epoxy to seal things. I see cast iron, I see aluminum. I mean, belts hanging off the ceiling to put a belt to fix on.
And then this is their
tools. There you got wrenches and ice chests.
And then the next one, steel products.
You got bolts and knives.
No, Husqvarna. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Husqvarna.
we got right there. You got Husqvarna. You got the weed eaters. You got the blowers. You got the straight shaft, the curved shaft.
And you got the saws.
And then there's the shoes. When I was a little boy, Mom would bring me in there and get on that wood floor, and I'd be trying on tennis shoes while Mama was buying the groceries. I mean, you talk about old time grocery store growing up as a kid, and there's the owner. That would be the second generation, Guyton Budden. That, of course, his daddy was Alan Budden, who everybody called him Chook.
Right.
And he'd always tell me, we'd go in there and they had buggies in the front door and even had coffins. It was out in the country. And he'd always say, I take them from the womb to the tomb.
And I'll tell you what, he has kept the tradition of having about anything and everything you might need in the Palmetto area. Believe me, they drive from all over because they know it's there. And this is a young lady that
working there inside the store?
Works the cash register while he takes care of the needs of the customers.
And very good. And we got some, there you are leaving town, and I see you're right between LeBeau and Palmetto, right near where the sign is for Palmetto. You see, man, I know that area like the back of my hand. And there's the sun going down on that end of the world, and you're at North Central High School. I recognize the football field there.
That's on the way back, but we've got some more pictures in between here.
We're going to get there.
No, that's after.
All right.
Let's go back a little ways.
Where are we going to go next? Let's go to your breakfast. When you went to see our friends at Brick and Spoon in Lafayette?
Brick and Spoon in Lafayette, that's correct. And that Blaine Gilry and his two partners, they're really doing well. Look how neat that. Those spoons are held in the handle of the cup. Never saw that before.
There's a slot in the handle to hold the spoon. That is slick.
This is a franchise. They're now open they've opened a franchise store in Gulf Breeze.
He didn't buy a franchise. He's the man starting the franchise.
Starting the franchise, right.
So
He's got one going to be opening up in the Magazine Street area in New Orleans. One in Houston has opened. and several more in the cooking stage.
But he didn't steal that entrepreneur spirit. He got that direct from Tonas Bill Gilroy.
Bill Gilroy, his dad.
Absolutely, what a character.
That's right. So I'm real happy that seemed to really be busy, and
here we are.
they're happy.
We're out in Chrétien Point here at Sims Battery. I guess it's pronounced Sims, where some of the Confederate battles were going on along Little Carrion Crow Bayou, and I guess Bayou Barbeau is right there and all too. It's all connected in that area.
Okay, let's.
What else we got there? There's the actual home, the Chrétien Point home.
Now look how beautiful.
Oh, it's
Still
gorgeous.
beautiful. Well, look at the oak trees just all over the front of that place. It's gorgeous.
And the cast iron plants around them. Somebody asked me the other day, what's a cast iron plant? That's what you call that.
And
look how
then
pretty
this is
old
another
home is.
home within probably a mile of Chrétien Point. That home is just beautiful. I just had to stop and take a. I backed up actually and took a
Steps
picture.
on the right to go up to the Gassonnière, the Spanish moss in the trees. Man,
Just look at the trees, live oaks planted. I mean,
like
really, really nice. And
this is the Century 21
This is Century 21
annual
last
awards meeting?
Yes, made up of a group from Lafayette, Opelousas, and Lake Charles. And this is a group of us, not all of us.
I see you, and I recognize Mr. Harvey Darbone
Yes,
and Ms. Vicky.
And his wife, Josephine.
Right down the right.
Simeon. Okay.
Oh, I always forget that. That's right. She is Little Joe and
Twin sister.
Little Joe's twin.
Twin. That's right.
Really?
Little Joe's twin. Yep,
Well,
yep.
how
And of
do
course,
you
she's
like that?
married to Harvey Darbone.
Much prettier than Little Joe. Though.
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Good morning, Joe.
And then we have some pictures, just
Miss Carolyn Ficoria, I
yeah,
see,
and
Miss
others. Real, yeah.
Got them all out there.
Yep.
And here we go. This is just some of the group from Lafayette. I guess.
Yes.
Well, you see that? We got, and look, what they're giving you the peace sign. They're having fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, it really. This was at what used to be
which
Nick's.
place?
Now it's called Ruby's.
That's on 2nd
On
Street,
2nd
right?
Street. Really a nice facility. I mean, if you're in that area and you wanting to throw a party, it is the place, and the food is
Hey, look, all the
really. The
awards.
steaks were just delicious. And this is our Opelousas group, and
loaded up.
they're all holding up awards which they received, and I'm very proud to say I'm part owner with Raymond kneeling
right there,
down with the necktie and the white shirt, and then his wife is in the blue, Lisa,
Right.
and then there's a little young lady
Right
in the
between.
middle. I said, "Where are you from?" She said, "Miami." I said, "What brought you here?" I said, "Can I have one guess?" I said, "A husband or a boyfriend?"
Gotta be,
She said, "Husband."
There you go.
I told her I didn't know how to. I've never turned the computer on yet. I never failed to say the yet. She said, "Mr. Bobby, please come over and let me work with
There you go.
She said, "I'll have you on."
She'd have your
in no
attention
time
better
at
than
all.
me, probably. I would think.
Yeah. Well, you'd be too. You're always getting phone calls or text messages and all of that.
I got to keep all those plates in the air. That's the Bobby Dupre companies and projects.
And now it's David Link.
And David Link as well.
That's your boss.
All of them.
And this is Wes
Wes Walker.
Walker, and of course his daddy and stepmom were in the. Sandra is
That's right.
one of our sales agents.
right.
And Peggy and Wes here, and I just had my
Over
oil
that's at the
change.
Castrol on Cresswell Street.
Yep, across from
Cresswell
the
School board.
school board.
And you got a car wash next door that's all his as well. If you go by and
Yep.
get your oil change, he'll call. He's got the computerized reminder with his voice.
They've
He'll call
already
you in,
thanked me. They've called to
remind you to
thank me
go,
that I went
To
in.
thank you that you went. Wes does a tremendous job. Go by, give him some good
quick,
business.
clean.
He got a brand new baby at home. I mean, it's
Hey,
going
needs
to
some
be
help.
some bills. You know, you
Okay,
got to
show
pay.
some more. There he is.
There's his son.
He's now Castrol.
Correct.
It's a franchise
That's
that
correct.
he
And there's all
has.
those nice young men
Young
that
men
run
that
so
do a
fast
good,
and clean
good
your car
job.
and put your little trash bag. Okay, that's JB Sandoz where we were
Now
earlier.
we need to go
so we got to
back
jump ahead
to,
to.
we need to go to Natchez.
I'm going ahead there. I'm at Natchez here. No, I'm here with.
Well,
let's do this one first.
That was Tuesday.
Right.
That was at Roma Cellars. We just called it Roma's Cafe in River Ranch. My brother on the right, Cody, and his wife Wilda, and Vicky and Bobby.
There you go.
And had a good. It's an Italian restaurant with. I mean, a full in River Ranch in Lafayette. Delicious food, good service.
And this is the azaleas all in bloom right now. That's in front of.
I made a special trip to go and take those pictures.
I'd almost said it was Pat Morrow's house, but we both know that's Alice Morrow's beautiful taste in front of Pat Morrow's house. Good morning, Alice and Miss Alice and Pat.
And Pat.
And then here you are, Natchez. You're at the church.
I'm at the church Sunday morning.
Holy Family Church.
Yep. And Father Fallon. Well, let's stop. No, go ahead. Let's show all of them. Then I'll talk about
candy
Father
bars.
Fallon.
It's a little fundraiser to help some of the kids.
That's correct.
And then that's
these are the
French
French friends that I took a picture of. There's another picture I think where they're all looking a little bit there. One more. Try one more. There you go. That's about
the best you're going to get.
3 couples from France, real nice. Ça parle français, je comprends bien bon. They're here for a couple of weeks in the States and really enjoying the temperatures and the weather we have in spring weather. They were happy.
And then we've got...
that's the 3 couples. And then 2 of the sisters that work there.
Nuns.
And they're nuns. They're retired, but they're working at this little primary school.
Which is the Holy Family
Early Learning Center.
There you go.
And they assist there. And that is Faye. Faye is one of the teachers there and has been there over 20 years now.
Very good.
Real nice little lady, lives right across the street, so she's almost always available for whatever they need. This is at the donut shop. A young couple came up, visited with them. Didn't get their names, but they're living on the bluffs in St. Francisville, and they're setting up a camp right near Vidalia and Natchez.
Well, good morning, folks. And one last thing, the sun going down, heading back home from Natchez.
Right.
And let me kick into one more sponsor here. Has to go to Dixie Storage. All your storage needs. You know, I went to visit Joey the other day and had a blast. He's just such a character. But he's aggressive. He's a shrewd businessman. And if you're going to, do business with other guys, you want to do business with a guy, understands business, wants to help you protect yours. We've got very good buildings with storage throughout St. Andrew Parish, Port Barre, Opelousas, and Washington. Well protected, good, well-built buildings on good tick concrete and good fencing around, so all your stuff is secure, well lit, so you can get in and out safely. Go by. They've also got, they do climate control units, big units to put your RVs in and plug them in if you need to plug them in for electricity, or if you're just trying to put a handful of things in storage, they can do that as well. They've got Dixie One Trucking is their sister company who can truck stuff between warehouses for you. They can finish delivering loads for you as well. They've got a railroad spur with railroad spur access there, and their sister company is A+ Glass with locations in Opelousas and Lafayette. They've got all your business and personal glass needs, including inspections for cars all the way up to 18-wheelers.
I want to thank Mr. Robert Nellums, who has this big supper twice a year. And of course, Congressman Charles Bustani is always there, and kind of in his honor, this was the one with the fried fish, and then in the fall, it's a gumbo. And Robert called me, something came up at my little house that I own in Natchez, and I had to go out. I had to leave early Friday morning to go. So I'm sorry, Mr. Robert, that I didn't make it. And also Bob Carrier called and reminded me about it. And
that's on Friday morning, he said, I'm looking for the man.
Yep, and just couldn't be there. But Mr. Robert, you throw a party that's just hard to duplicate.
We're going to take a 1-minute break and come back for the last quarter. We'll see y'all in one.
Welcome back to the 4th quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show, along with my sidekick, Mr.
Good morning.
Andrew.
Good morning. And boy, I'm jumping. I want to get all my sponsors. I'll try to get them all in. Let's go to Piggly Wiggly if you're trying to get some groceries. The pig knows
that
best.
weather is nice for barbecuing.
Oh, man. And I mowed my grass last weekend and sat outside for a while on the deck and just chilled with that little old smoky percolating. And I like to put them pork steaks on. If you're going to go to the pig, get the pig to put out there. And don't forget about them for your roast inside. It's Lent time. A lot of people cooking seafood on Fridays. They got all kind of good fish and shrimp and all that good stuff there as well. All your vegetables, all your fresh fruit. And don't forget about them. Kind of a little hardware store too. I know people pick up deer feed when it's deer season, to put all that out near your deer stand. Maybe put that out of season too. I don't know how them rules work. You guys kind of know that do all that with your feeder.
Yeah.
But then you got pots over there. You can buy all kind of good pots and burners. They've got all that at Piggly Wiggly as well. They got the deli on the south side, including catering. Go by Piggly Wiggly. And one more. How about Quarters Casino? Go north of Opelousas to Quarters Casino. Try El Pico de Gallo, their authentic Mexican restaurant and cantina. Excellent, excellent food. You can also go next door and try your luck in the gaming side. You can go in the convenience store and you can get Subway sandwiches and crispy, crunchy chicken. And they got those nice Brothers Pizza that they got there as well. You can grab for the road when you head into Natchez to one of your various camps over there, or you can pick up all the cold drinks and the harder drinks there. They got all that as well. They got Stuckey's candy, if you like old-timey Stuckey's. Man, I went there the other day. They got that.
That's where I pick up my diesel when I'm going over to Winfield and the Dooley.
They had that rock candy with the wooden stick. You know what I'm talking about? That old-timey stuff, and the pralines even. Go by the Quarters Casino and Travel Plaza.
One other little story about my visit to the Holy Family Catholic Church there Sunday morning. Yes. They have an 8 o'clock mass there. Right. And Father Fallon, who was in Brobridge for a number of years, I mentioned to him that Mr. Johnny Raymond had died. I figured he would know Mr. Johnny. As soon as he had a little opportunity, he came back and visited with me. He says, I hated to hear what you had to say about Mr. Johnny Raymond. He says, anytime we called on him for any kind of help around Brobridge at the church over there, you could count on Mr. Johnny and Miss Courtney.
Church or military, the man was the first man in line. And then what our little project with Father LaFleur around St. Landry Church, he was in the middle of all that because it was the best of both worlds.
And if it was boxing, he was for that. In other words, he was for
taking care of the community.
Taking care of the community, taking care. It's just a shame we lost him. Just, you know, he still had some big projects underway, and I'm sure Miss Courtney and Ricky and the group will carry through on those projects. And anyhow, I thought I had to mention that Father has, you know, left there, and you could tell it shook him up when, you know, he came back
down there,
when he came back and talked to me personally. You know, just he had a lot of people when I first mentioned I was walking out. He came outside when I was taking the pictures that I showed, and anyhow, it says a lot about my dear friend, Mr. Johnny Raymond,
the Ranger. I want to be an airborne Ranger. I was singing that the other day. You're like, what is that song? I said, that was the Rangers. All right, we got coming up, don't forget, for the Lighthouse Mission charity golf tournament is going to be going on over at the Indian Hills Country Club. You can contact Mike Fontenot or Johnny Carrier, 351-7851, all to help the Lighthouse Mission Men's Homeless Shelter. And remember, what's going on there is these are men that are trying to get that next, you know, they took that time off. Something went bad in their lives. They had to unplug a while to get resettled in their lives. And what the Lighthouse Mission does is get these guys back on track. But if you want to participate in a golf tournament, call those guys, give them a holler. It's going to be at the Indian Hills Country Club, May the 12th. 2 flights, 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. $300 per team. They want you to help or just sponsor something.
What's the date of that?
May the 12th.
May the 12th. Well, on Thursday, April the 24th, in just 3 weeks from now, the Earl Taylor Annual Classic will be, it's the 10th annual. Looks like yesterday he started this, and of course part of it goes to his campaign and part of it goes to his charity work that he and his staff and his wife and family participate in parish-wide.
And you've got a nice turnout there at the Indian Hills Country Club. And of course, they're so kind to us with our work with the Cerebral Palsy Clinic at the Country Club. So good people. Slimco, talking about getting things, Slimco Scholarship is coming up again. Don't forget about it. You got to get your application in by May the 8th. Thursday, May the 8th at 4:30 p.m. at Slimco. Go to slimco.com to get the form. If you get your electricity bill, you've gotten one. I know we get the little bill for 3 Mile Lake for the light over the launch, and every month that I get it, I get another scholarship application in. I guess they're trying to coax me to maybe go back to school. Maybe that's what I need to do. But you can get it. You can also give a call to Miss Mary Laurent over there, 896-2520. They're going to give 20 scholarships away. It's a good deal.
Last week we showed you a picture of a young lady that works with the Advocate, the Acadiana Advocate edition, Miss Patricia Gannon, and that big smile that you see here, and she did a real nice article on different people that were participating in the Golden Glove tournament that was held last weekend.
And some of the spectators as well, like is that Gene Bergeau and Bobby Dupre in the
Bobby
bottom
Dupre. I want to thank Patricia for the nice picture that you used here. And
your friend saw it. Marcus Guitro from CPS sent a copy of it. I mean,
yeah,
as we said,
just in case we hadn't seen it. Well,
absolutely.
To be honest with you, on Wednesday mornings, it's
a rush sometimes.
I don't look at the picture as carefully as. Well, Vicky found this. Now I gotta be honest.
She recognized you?
She recognized me, and Gene is from the Cancton area, boxed in the military, and was a heck of a boxer. Right, won Golden Gloves championship one year, state champion, and his full brother, but used another family name because the family got split up, and was Bobby Hebert from Opelousas. We told you that story, not the Bobby Hebert, the football player.
Guy.
Bobby Hebert, a fun guy, and he had a fish market and
worked hard for parish government. That was his last hard work.
Right, and he and Adler Ledoux were like that, inseparable.
King.
He was the king. And that's what King's Truck Stop is named after.
Absolutely.
Adler was going to be a member of the company that had opened King's Truck Stop as a casino truck stop. And he didn't go into the last name, but they kept the name, King's. And it's still up there. So, Patricia, thank you so much. I like the articles. The other half of the page was Couson bids for a seat. She covers a little politicals. I mean, she is everywhere all of the time. That newspaper edition is gaining quick growth in Acadiana area. That's the Advocate Acadiana.
Yep.
Lake Dubuisson boat launch is now open. Please be careful. If you're drinking, make sure that the driver of that boat is not drinking, because they will ticket you just as though you were on the highway when you're in a boat.
And all the penalties are the same. I mean, it's going to mess up your car license, everything.
Yes, sir. So go out, have fun, and we want to remind everybody that the dues are now
it's that time, renewal.
It's that time, renewal. They need to be renewed. They're $100.
$100, P.O. Box 70 in Opelousas, Louisiana. You can send it there.
3 Mile Lake Association.
3 Mile Lake Association. You'll get your new key. We're going to put the new chain out on April the 15th at the public launch. You'll notice the nice lights. You notice the grass is well taken care of and weeded and ants killed.
And we're going to be
some
in
new
there.
limestone.
Yeah, and as soon as we fixed that road to get there, we spent a few $100s on that.
Right.
And I might add that pretty soon, as soon as it gets warm, we'll be spraying for the lily control.
Absolutely.
That's our biggest cost each year, is the lily control process.
The water hyacinths.
What about the repairs underway on the gas line? You pass there all the time.
I certainly do, and I monitor that very closely.
Still not quite finished yet?
Not quite, but I think they've changed the line out. What they got to end up doing, wherever it spills, they got to take that dirt and burn that dirt. I don't know what they do exactly, but they bring that dirt somewhere.
Yeah, and bring in some fresh dirt.
And I think it's the second time they've had this. It's basically a feeder line. Whatever the feeder lines were done there must have been an issue. This is the second time in the last 5 or 6 years they've had some sort of feeder line
And that's
issue
at Tobacco
there.
Plus. And boy, they do a great business. They're good.
It's not a
corporate
huge leak, but what happens is if it leaks long enough, then you realize it takes a long time for you to figure it out. But they dug it up and fixed it. So
what about the Cajuns?
Cajun baseball, they after it,
crushed
brother.
Green Wave 16-0 Tuesday night. They for real. They dropped down from 1 to 2. They lost the game, but they came right back and beat the same team.
It's early in the year. You got time.
So anyhow, they having fun, and they're doing, and they're learning, they're practicing, and out of gas from Monroe all the way to possibly Baton Rouge. Gas services might be cut off within the next couple of months. Can you imagine the businesses that are going to be affected? And like my heating system over at Natchez is with Atmos Gas.
Really?
And Atmos Gas owns a good bit of this line here, but they don't own the line. They buy gas off of this big line. The line was built in 1926, and they said is getting dangerously dangerous.
So they might just abandoning it, and then
Yeah,
there's
just
no idea to
abandon it.
replace it.
Well, no, the cost.
Well, we had the little leak with the gas recently right there on the Washington Road. You remember over off of, I forget the little lane back there, Pavy Lane is what it's called, I guess.
Right.
And I wondered what it was, like a substation that's there. Well, then I ran to Don Stanford on Friday morning. Don says, I don't have gas at my house. My gas is off. So that's, those big old pipelines that they run all over the state, still they spit out little bits here and there to provide for towns and small communities. So,
but can you imagine, that's all the way from Monroe, Louisiana down and through Vidalia and Woodville and all that, St. Francisville, I mean.
And then you got the price of natural gas has gone down. So you got to hope that somebody thinks it's, cost effective enough.
They
to get
might
into
have
it.
some other lines that they'll be able to
Somebody
tie
else
in.
might,
Let's
yeah.
hope so. Let's hope so.
I'm
It
sure
doesn't
somebody.
affect me that much,
When
but
there's
boy,
money
it
involved,
affects.
somebody will step up to the plate, right? That's what you always. That's
What I've always said.
nature of America.
And the wild hogs, remember we talked about the
Yeah.
wild hogs, the problem they're getting. That was the front page of Sunday's The Democrat, which is the Natchez newspaper.
Correct.
They taking aim, and they're just.
They're messing up subdivisions. They're messing up everything. It's not just.
And what about the cost of corn and everything that they're destroying? They go into a field.
They eat everything.
And they eat everything.
Oh,
they
yeah.
just pass right on through like the locusts used to do to when
And
they had those
it
big
don't help
locusts.
you deer. It don't help you squirrels. Because I mean, they all competing.
That's right. So anyhow,
We're down to a minute left.
we're a minute left.
You may want to find that prayer book. I think
Yeah,
we're getting
well,
down
let's.
to the end.
I thought this was something. I read the obituaries in the Morning Advocate, and this young lady who died, Gertie Dupre Cornelius, and her maiden name was Gertie Dupre, and she married a gentleman by the last name of Cornelius.
And your dad was
Cornelius Dupre. So I thought that was kind of interesting and noteworthy of mentioning here. And
What else I saw this week? 108th anniversary this week of the first Mass at St. Landry Church. 108 years since the Big Red Church was there. How's that? That's a pretty good deal.
we talked about that last week. And what about the big race, the $1 million race, Rose Napavlik and Vikers in Trouble? And Vikers in Trouble is a Louisiana bred, and
Yes, sir.
they're giving me a warning, and
Yeah,
we
it's that
want to
time.
remind you and ask you to consider attending the church of your choice. Andrew and I both ask you to do that. Consider, and the church of your choice. And then a little prayer. God of holiness, grant that I may always live for your glory and thus attain my salvation. Thanks for viewing. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Chief.